Okay, we're live. So our research paper is based off of um, Mulan, and we wanted to talk about the modern adaptations of Mulan. So we chose Disney's, or the Ballad of Mulan, and we compared Disney's Mulan and She's the Man to the original ballad. So our thesis is that Disney's Mulan and She's the Man shows that women's rights and gender inequality have progressed from the original Ballad of Mulan. These two adaptations emphasize how women are able to break stereotypes whilst empowering women from all cultural backgrounds.
Okay, so our main audiences are youth interested in gender equality or a female perspective, feminists, or people that are trying to understand feminism and the stereotypes that go along with it. We also think young females will probably be more biased as most of our sources defend females and their struggles. However, we aim to appeal to both sexes in hopes of educating young males and how they can change society norms for the future. Our first source is the adapted version of Hua Mulan, which is the animated version of Disney Mulan's. What gives the author authority to speak on this topic is that Mulan came into existence under the watchful, combative eye of Pam Coates, one of Disney's few female animation producers. Audiences will trust the source because this source, the directors, animated producers, and creative team went to China to submerge themselves into the culture, landscape, and study the people, and most importantly, the history before putting everything together in the film. And because Pam Coates, a female producer, was part of the creation of Mulan, audiences can know confidently that this film was represented well to support female empowerment fairly. Um, this source fits into our research paper because it's one of the biggest evidence of the progression of Hua Mulan. And it's based off the original folklore of Hua Mulan, and Disney was able to use a story set in northern and southern dynasty period of China to communicate a contemporary social message. It relates to our other sources it uses a traditional story to highlight a modern social issue in today's world. It relates to the original folklore of Hua Mulan and our other source of She's the Man due to similar story plots and themes, and it depicts the celebration of gender equality, the strength of women throughout all cultures, and the breakthrough of common gender stereotypes, which are supported in our other sources. It defends our thesis statement because Mulan was able to depict the unfair treatment and perception of women through many cultures. Mulan was assigned to bring honor to her family in one way, a girl's way, but she demonstrated that women can be strong and smarter and can do things also only expected of men.
Our second source is She's the Man, and we chose this source because we wanted to focus on a younger audience, and we felt that they'll be able to better relate to this movie because it's more entertaining and relevant to their everyday lives. It doesn't focus on gender inequality in war as Mulan does, but it focuses on gender inequality in sports. Um, and we also felt that we needed something um, different to gender inequality in the Chinese culture. So She's the Man brings in how gender inequality is also prevalent in the American culture. And that's how this source is able to defend our thesis because the fact that this topic of gender inequality is still relevant in our day and age. It shows how it's progressed, but how it hasn't really gone away. So we want to aim to highlight the problem to our audience in hopes of empowering them to continue to make a difference. It relates to our other sources because it has similar storylines of the Ballad of Mulan and Disney's Mulan. Um, and it's a more modern adaptation because we're trying to show the progression of where it started with the Ballad of Mulan.
Our third source is an excerpt from the Ballad of Mulan in the book The Flowering Plum and the Palace Lady, written by Hans H. Frankel. Hans has authority because he is well known to students of Chinese poetry for the many articles he has published in prestigious journals. Frankel published this interpretation of the Ballad of Mulan with Yale University as part of an academic journal. The source fits into our research because the ballad is known to be the most original version of Mulan from around the 5th or 6th century. All other versions of Mulan stem from this original tale and carry some aspects of this original story. The source defends our thesis statement because the Ballad of Mulan was the first story of its kind. It showed that women could do as much as men, and women could honor their country and their family in outstanding military service. The fourth source is called Mulan's Legend and Legacy in China and the United States. It's a book written by Lan Dong, and the author has a PhD and is an associate professor of English at the University of Illinois Springfield. She has published a number of articles on Asian American literature and culture. The source fits into our research because the source analyzes the original Ballad of Mulan and compares it to newer generations of the story that have become popular amongst their time period. Most of the stories within this book follow the original tale of Mulan, but it gives a unique perspective of what values, specifically in each generation, that have changed over the years. This source defends our thesis statement because throughout the many versions of Mulan, they show different aspects of how women are portrayed, but one in particular that stuck out to me was when Mulan is very fixated on being able to bind her feet as soon as she returns home from serving in the war. It just showed how limited women were at this time because when she had her feet bound, she could barely walk or stand properly because they were so imbalanced. But it just proved that although Mulan was very beautiful and a desirable woman at this time, she could also serve in the war and fulfill the men's duties successfully.